My prediction is that both of these teams are going to have a good time. And that's what you said last time I asked you to do a prediction, Jesse, but I'm taking that from you. Just as the Florida Panthers took the Stanley Cup away from the Edmonton Oilers.
Shopify Rebellion, I think, are the favorites coming into this game up against Wildcard. The social prediction certainly seems to agree. 79% back in Shopify Rebellion. Shopify just played on Cafe last week. They banned Blackbeard Buck as their first two attackers. I don't know if we'll see the same bans up against Wildcard. I would expect not, although they do start the same with the Blackbeard. Castle, decently common to come out from, attacking teams as well. I'd expect that to be followed with an Azami, a Mira, or a Clash, most likely from Wildcard. And then if Shopify don't go for the Buck, could see a Ying, Grim, Blitz, all common bans on this map of Cafe. And we will get the Brava ban.
All right, okay.
The Rebellion, they're spicy.
I think it's a nice one here. Gridlock and Nomad are very strong operators on this particular map due to the way that Cafe plays out. We don't see a ban for either of them. Gridlock is locked in on Bay in some of the most horrifying operator art that exists in the game. It is terrific, by the way.
Oh yeah.
It's from Doctor's Curse, by the way, if people haven't seen the one where Gridlock's like the skeleton pirate. Do you not care about that stuff? Like, do you not?
I'm a big skeleton pirate fan, Parker. What do you mean?
Not really quite what I meant. I meant more about like skins and stuff, but that's okay. We'll take what I said deliberately and directly. No, I mean, the Brava ban is an intriguing one. We do tend to see a lot of drone operators on this map. And when I say drone operators right now, there are 4 of them that really jump to mind on attack, of course, because then you've got whether Mozzie and Echo are drone operators on defense, you know, etc. Right now, you're looking at Brava and Flores being 2 really, really popular operators. Ram is as well, but doesn't gain intel from her drones. Then you've obviously got Twitch too. A Twitch ban seems a little bit wasteful just on how Twitch plays and Twitch's pick rate. Brava brings a lot of things to the table. So if Shopify Rebellion are going to run a lot of gadget heavy operators, which is kind of what we see right now, right? You know, you've got 2 Yokai drones from the Echo, you've got those Evil Eye cams from the Maestro of Rexon, and then you've got, oh my, Ambi as well, whose gates can potentially be taken over. There's a lot of value that a Brava can bring. You get rid of somebody like a Brava and IQ, etc., your gadgets are in much better shape. I like that Shopify Rebellion is doing this and taking advantage of it by immediately bringing an electronic heavy lineup.
Notably, Shopify Rebellion running the exact same lineup that they ran last week up against Envy. So this is going to be something that Wildcard could have water viewed against. The setup is exactly the same with all 5 operators. So it should be something that they are prepared for, that they've come up with plans to counter. So I'm hopeful that we could see a good push coming out from Wildcard. They shouldn't be getting caught off guard. You're right. There's a lot of camera operators here, but it doesn't mean that they're invincible. We still have strong utilities, such as the Ash charges, such as the Dokkaebi as well, to clear out some of this util.
That's the very first pick. Oh my. Spoit low on HP. So too is Bay, who looks like he's just on a single point of HP at this current point in time and take some serious damage. He'll be dead no matter whether you give him a hug, whether you yell in his direction. There's lots of things to deal damage to Bay. I like that Ash charge into the corner to try to pick off what remained of Spoit. It was a good gambit. Now you'll have Dash creeping up ever so gently, and if he goes sight unseen towards the top of White Stairs, he might be able to take care of Spoit. His attention's over towards Rexon. Spoit does not take the engagement. What a great opportunity by Baby Shark. It looked like it was Dash, but Dash was dead. It was the player cam I got thrown off. Baby Shark's going to continue his rampage, by the way, leaving Ambi and Surf as the last 2 standing. Ambi has been a terrific addition to this team ever since joining when they were known as the Sonics, but he has made leaps and bounds as a player under this system. I was brought in by Super and Canadian when Canadian joined the team, and since becoming the Rebellion, Ambi's stonks are way up. 30 seconds remain. It's Surf and Ambi's the last 2 left.
I love this angle. I'm not sure they'll be ready for it on the side of Wildcard. I don't know if they have drones back here. They actually do have a drone on Cocktail, so they'll see it and they'll go for the swing, but lose the fight anyway. Still now 2-on-2.
Ambi looking for more. Bay had very little that was left. Kansan and Spiker not the case, both at full HP. Surf has the cross, and they might be so focused on Ambi that he can take full advantage of this. Not if he misses his shots. Kansan does not miss. And just like that, Kansan tears through the final two players on the Rebellion, and Wildcard take round one.
And I was talking about how maybe Wildcard would have a bit of a read of that setup because it was the exact same 5 operators that Shopify brought. Now, Shopify brought 4 barbed wire on that defense, but they didn't seem to put any towards white stairs, which is where Baby Shark was able to lurk up and grab a couple of picks to start that round off strongly for the young Wildcard team. Whether that was something that they caught the last time that the Rebellion played this map, hey, they don't put barbed wire in this position, or whether that's just something that maybe the barbed wire was placed differently this round. I don't have the exact stats. Regardless, that is still really nice that Wildcard were able to identify that gap in the Shopify defense, exploit it with 2 good opening picks from Baby Shark, and then Kansan in the late round. How many times are we going to talk about this guy, the single best North American player at Reload, showing up every single game in the North American League?
I mean, there's a team that's going to be playing later today called Dark Zero that fans of that team know full well, whether it's Canadian as your IGL or NAIF as your IGL. You cannot be a fan of Dark Zero in peace. It is not possible. Every DZ game must be as painful and as close as humanly possible. I feel like that's a trait that has kind of happened with the Shopify Rebellion team now as well, which again has Canadian in common between the two squads. So far, through their entire tenure as the Shopify Rebellion, this team has made the fans agonize over every single match. And I mean, against Wildcard, it wouldn't be too surprising for Shopify Rebellion to go down and then have to claw their way back, or burst out to a giant lead after this round and then end up getting that clawed back by Wildcard. We'll see. This is a very good team. They entered the day in the top 3. Since then, they have slipped down the standings just because other teams have leapt over them, not because of their own issues. So Shopify Rebellion looking to get back into that top 3 right now, sitting in 5th place. Wildcard down in that will not qualify for playoffs right now in 7th place. They'll get the first pick, though, of this round. Down to us Canadian. Spoit will eliminate Bay. They trade right back. 1 minute. Neither team really gaining much of an advantage.
Some big Dokkaebi plays both in the last game and this game. Not sure what it is, but that op today is just singing. A couple of good entries from Baby Shark. Now, once again, Shopify playing the exact same defense they played previously, and you can kind of tell Wildcard know the positioning that Shopify are all playing. They knew Spoit was going to be bathroom with that dock. They saw Ambi for a second there too, even though they couldn't get the pick. Spoit, his position was known, but he still killed Bay. If he can work a couple more picks, this could be the start that Shopify needed. He hasn't had any huge rounds yet this season, but he's due.
Ambi taking a little bit of damage earlier. Now it's Baby Shark taking some from the fire created by the Goyo shield canister of Ambi. Now finished off as Dash goes in for a swing, suffering through that goo mine as Spoit will now drop away. Shopify Rebellion trailing in man count through both rounds so far. Defenders on Cafe don't usually have to battle quite this hard, so a bit devastating. Devastating if you're a fan of their team, of course. An oddly paced match up to this point with just about 45 seconds left in round number 2, Jesse.
Full top floor with a sledge feels really nice. They're likely to go for just a basic pillar plant in through the reading door. That's going to be very common. There's no nitro cells to be tossed out, no toxic babes to deny this, so they need a long angle on the entry.
And then they go off to the races as Spiker, whose name we have not set up to this point, will get Diffuser to the halfway point. Wildcard sweeping through Shopify Rebellion. Dash with a couple of kills, and there's nothing to show for the defenders at this point. Wildcard sprinting off to a great start, taking the first 2 rounds.
I think it's a little odd that we didn't play a second round, that we just replayed the first round twice, because it was essentially the exact same round coming out from Wildcard. It's Baby Shark in the early game, finding that opening pick, getting a bit of a man advantage in favor of Wildcard, partly due to just knowing what Shopify Rebellion are doing on this roam. And then it's Kansan in the late round, picking up 2 big kills to send it home and make sure that they can protect that diffuse kit as it's going to the base or going onto the ground. Loved that entry from Dash, played really well to just swing on in right at the moment that they were trying to retreat. There were players that were starting to hold that window that would have been able to swing if they heard him repel, but they weren't close enough by the time that Dash got in. So that was a big round coming in from the Brazilian too. Really strong start from Wildcard. You can tell they were prepared coming into this game, and they look very good. This is often a very defender-sided map, so starting up 2-0 up on the attack is really nice.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, I'd be quite happy if I were them. Cafe is obviously a very vertical map, and so far we haven't seen a lot of verticality from Wildcard, not to what we've seen from other teams. Looked like they were going to bring a gridlock to try and cut down any potential flank or offsite play retakes onto the top floor, but none of that will be brought from Wildcard. They're instead running with a relatively heavy hard breach lineup of the Ace and Hibana, and then just destruction across the board elsewhere. I mean, so far, if you don't have to fear the lurk from Shopify Rebellion, then why bother bringing the tools to deal with it? Instead, go with good guns and go with things that will restrict them in place. Lion is not necessarily known as an anti-flank operator, but his gadget does certainly function in a similar enough way. Look at those evil eye cams, both on either side of the window, just to give you maximum coverage of the bomb site. That is a funny sight to see.
Yeah. This is the first bit of deviation from the last game, too. Canadian wasn't on the Maestro last time they were here, so definitely a response to that Brava ban they took out. Like Ambi tried to get a little aggressive, but shut down thanks to Wildcard's vigilance. They're staring at those windows. They're ready for the aggression that might come forward. Ambi has been so good through these first couple of games with Shopify Rebellion. He has consistently been one of their top performers, so the fact that he is now being shut down in this round, it bodes very well for Wildcard. They still hold top floor, but now it's Spoit all alone, his roaming partner dealt with. Can he make anything happen as a solo?
I mean, not great start so far for Shopify Rebellion. Spoit will go down, so you said, can he make anything work? The answer to your question comes very swiftly. No. Baby Shark and Kansan combining for 8 kills through 2 completed rounds. 3 rounds active at this point. Canadian and Surf still searching for their very first kills. Canadian has been on the bottom of the scoreboard for Shopify Rebellion pretty consistently on his role. That's not abnormal. But if he's involved in direct gunfights, which he will certainly be now that both Ambi and Spoit are in the ground, you have to expect him to get some kills. If he can't do that, his team's chances of winning the round continue to go down. Shopify Rebellion are in a bad place at the moment, and Wildcard, with a minute to go, still have plenty of time to get in towards the bomb site.
Watch out for Canadian playing red stairs. If he makes a push-up, this could be really devastating. Good Hibana tech to deal with those Kaid claws, the explosion radius large enough to destroy that. Canadian is being watched. It seems like they have some eyes on where he's at. There's a player all the way at the top of red stairs. It's Dash with some good angles. Also hunting for Surf. Not that he finds it yet. 30 seconds. They got to get a move on, and that's a big pick for Rexon.
That's a huge one. Another name that we really haven't said very much. It's been very lopsided in favor of Wildcard, and really only 2 players that have been on the tip of our tongues, both of whom are still alive. Again, going back to Baby Shark and Kansan. No shortage of great aimers on both sides of the coin, as now Canadian has to entertain one of those Wildcard players on red stairs, and he's got a bullet hose, but he can't do much with any of that ammunition. Down goes Kansan. It's Bay and Spiker last alive, but nobody catches Surf as time runs out on the round, and it's the Rebellion to take it. Excellently done.
The one round they didn't have a Dokkaebi for Wildcard, and it almost would have been perfect in that push because they could have stopped those cameras from being used. Instead, they had really good information. There was a player inside a train, despite that hatch getting opened up earlier from Wildcard. So cut off a little bit. They take out the Maestro after that Brava ban. They felt it difficult to deal with, and I'm really glad to see that Dokkaebi ban from Shopify. I feel like Baby Shark has really been able to exploit that operator in this first quarter, and so taking it out now, that's going to be big. They will actually call a tactical timeout, feeling that only 1 round through the first quarter was not good enough. Yes, they won the last one, but even in the previous rounds, they were losing those early gunfights. Their roamers of Spoit and Ambi just didn't get anything done top floor. Had to be a late round clutch due to the fact that Wildcard kind of stalled out towards the midpoint of that round. So I'm happy to see a tac timeout from Super. I think it makes sense. Even that last round that they won, not very convincing. Hopefully he can right the ship. They need to get their entries going, not dissimilar to the Cloud9 game we just watched, Parker.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really a listless roam right now for Shopify Rebellion. They're not holding map control very effectively, and their roamers are just kind of being left out to pasture, to die, and that's it. With good teams, you can put one player on a deep lurk. Again, the difference between a lurk and a roam is that a roamer is designed to eat up time, utility, drones, and maybe get some kills. A lurker is to not get spotted and waste time by forcing attackers to drone out the entire map multiple times, and then when the execute is happening, the lurker will come back to the bomb site. There is a difference between these two terms, and I know some people use them interchangeably, and it can be hard to tell, but there is a stylistic difference, and there is a completely different execution behind it. As for the roams that we've seen for Shopify Rebellion, because we haven't really seen a lot of deep lurks from them, these are unsupported roams. You can have supported roams and unsupported roams. If you have one player just playing by their lonesome with very little intel, nobody watching cams, nobody watching whether they be Valve cams, Maestro cams, default cams, etc., or if there's a Mozzie drone that's, you know, or a Mozzie pest that's snagged a drone, if you're just playing by yourself, that's an unsupported roam. And a lot of times, that's one of the worst places to be in. There are certain positions on maps that are referred to as suicide because you will have an unsupported roam over there, and basically you're there to eat up a bunch of utility and die. Shopify Rebellion can very easily roam on this map. We've seen teams do it that are worse, frankly, than the Rebellion. But right now, the way that they've approached these first 3 rounds leaves something to be desired of.
Ambi's upstairs in Cocktail. In round 1, he tried to run out the pillar door, got caught by an air jab. Could go for a little jump out if he's feeling cheeky, but now the windows are being watched. I mean, it's unlikely he's going to find much success with that. That's half of Wildcard over towards the Cocktail windows that are starting to put some pressure. The other half are over here in Piano, where you often see a zombie, maybe a castle, out. It's going to deployable shield and Spoit inside of washrooms. Previously a famous Bolo spot. Spoit kind of taking over that now. Not that they're the same team or anything, but a little bit of passing the torch.
You'd play that pixel spot, you'd have a mutant castle set up as well inside a bathroom just to give you a bit more assistance, but now instead it will be an Echo being brought, far more than we do tend to see Echo show up. He is a very popular operator on this map, a lot of times because the yokai drones are not kept in or near the bomb site. They're sent on scouting missions, either on that bottom floor or to support some of these roamers. It looks like Spoit on the side of Shopify is using them quite selfishly inside a Piano. He'll vacate the area though, and it has completely given up control of Piano in favor of Wildcard's entry, which is fine. Ambi with 1 kill, but it's traded out immediately by Bay, who guns down Spoit, and a bad start for the superstar picked up by the Rebellion. A 4-4 though, with a minute to go, is Surf now inside a back bar. Sprays out, hits Baby Shark, and now it's Ambi's turn to try and find somebody over towards the entry. That's top of red stairs. Surf will need some support, as all he's got in front of him is a deployable shield, and he is under heavy watch by Wildcard.
Bay's got a nade. It'd be really nice to clear this shield. It would make a huge difference, but even if he tosses it, there's magnets in the way, so it's not going to be simple. Surf in a power position that will be protected. He's doing so much, but he's shot in the head. That's one way to clear it out. Now we can see the push from Wildcard.
Just waiting ever so patiently. Ambi now springing out with 4 kills, looking for a 5th. He'll have to worry about back bar. Finishes off what remains of Bay. Cannot outduel Spiker. Spiker and Kansan last 2 standing. Canadian still searching for his first kill. He's got Rexen with 4 kills to his name, not far off. Spiker at the halfway point. Diffuser will go, but it is not close. Spiker instead going by the bomb chassis, and Shopify Rebellion in a tricky spot. They will need to go for the rotate from the backside of this bomb site over towards Piano. Canadian looking up. Kansan is way too far down. And Rexen, who was on that middle floor, will now have the most damning job possible, which is ascend the stairs. Wildcard know exactly where he's coming from. Mira is not a discreet operator, and he'll take some damage looking for a fight of his own. He'll find it with Spiker, and it sets him and Kansan, former teammates, into a 1v1 that Kansan wins. And Wildcard, after that timeout, take the round. Shopify Rebellion, they are struggling mighty in this match.
Big 1v1 from Kansan, aka Kansan Chiari, aka Evan Bouchard, aka the #1 player in all of video games according to our analyst desk. He's been consistent throughout these late rounds, as he so often is for Wildcard. That was not a simple round for Wildcard to convert on. I thought Surf was going to be the difference maker playing in behind this shield. I'm not sure how he loses this fight to Bay. Not even that he missed his shots. He maybe did a little bit, but Bay to hit that one behind the shield. He should have been in the position to win it, but maybe the broken wall just not really going the way he expected it to. Now this is going to be Wildcard up 3-1 after a really strong clear through the top floor. You kind of go back to that nitro that Rexen had too in that last round. If he was able to deny the plant, that would have been big, but they had no information. They had an Echo on the board, but an IQ was brought by Wildcard, and as you mentioned, Spoit loves to play Echo quite aggressively on that site to try to assist himself inside a bathroom. Hasn't really been able to get going in this game, so tries out the Valkyrie this time around. That's going to be a little bit better to spot players out maybe inside the site, but once again, the IQ brought by Kansas.
Spoit has been playing almost exclusively Intel operators, and I mean, while he's dead, those yokais will still persist. While he's dead, those black eye cams from the Valkyrie will still persist. So you have to imagine that he's finding value for his team, even if he's not. Both he and Canadian are sitting side by side at the Shopify Rebellion headquarters, as far as I can tell from their camera angles, and they combined for just a single kill, which is maybe the room is cursed. I'm not entirely certain. They're getting their lunch stolen by Wildcard right now, though. Again, ineffective roams, unsupported play, and hero plays from Shopify Rebellion to almost save a round is all they've been able to find.
Dash and Baby Shark also boot camping in Toronto, so after this, maybe they can meet up and discuss the game a little bit. Probably not, but you never know. A little bit of an entry now. This doesn't seem to be known on the side of the Rebellion. FaZe made it quite deep in, but they don't expect to have control of top red. Bit of a slower round to start. There's still some nitros being repped, as we see from Spoit. They actually brought 3 of them in this round to try to abuse those Valkyrie cameras on the top floor. Bulletproof as well to try to feed a little bit more information. Doesn't seem that Shopify want to get into aggressive plays. It feels like they're happy to let Wildcard waste their own time, but eventually something's going to come. There we go from Ambi.
Cut down from that rappel as Ambi gets onto the board early on. He's been a saving grace of this Shopify Rebellion team through a handful of matches. Irrespective of the team's success, you can usually cash that Ambi check in the bank with no issues whatsoever. It is a recruit taken out, so some utility is gone. Now Spiker will be punished as well, and that's the case as Surf reads into that one, and he'll try to get back to safety through delivery as quickly as he can. Manages to pull it off. The 3 remaining players from Wildcard not really in a position to shut him down as Kansan suffers quite a lot of blows, and Rebellion looking to close this one out in this round. Down goes Bay, and it's only 2 that remain. Again, Baby Shark and Kansan combined for quite an impressive tally. Baby Shark is a little exposed from that spot. He can get killed from the top floor, so I mean, I guess he felt pretty confident about it, and he takes some damage from the barbed wire before assessing his options. Final 30 seconds, and he sees smoke denying him entry to that reading door. 2 canisters in back pocket for Canadian, but Baby Shark will be no more at the hands of Spoit, and Ambi will ensure that his team gets a flawless round. An impressive bounce back from Shopify Rebellion, and now a final round of the first half. A tie is possible.
I like that we see Ambi and Surf both getting aggressive in that round to try to give their team an advantage. Feels like a lot of the early round has been defined by Spoit, who hasn't been able to find that same success. So that's the thing about Shopify Rebellion. You know, they're an extremely deep team. If one person's not able to find much in the early game, they can kind of go play a backseat role a little bit. They can play that Valkyrie, feed a bit more intel, allow Ambi to go crazy, allow some jump outs from Surf, make some big plays happen on the side of the Rebellion to get something going. And that's what we started to see. If they can do that again, make this 3-3 half possible, they're not in a bad spot by any means. They're still looking a little shaky. This last round is not going to be simple for them going up against Wildcard, but I like that we're seeing that change a little bit. You know, maybe one person's not stepping up in this situation, somebody else can be there instead. And so that's what we're seeing already in these early couple of rounds.
To your point about somebody stepping up, depth is what really does separate a lot of the best teams from the good and the great teams, is that if you can rely on all 5 of your players to play their roles very effectively, getting kills, giving information, being a part of the actual team, then you're typically going to be a cut above your opponents. Both of these teams have quite a lot of depth. The one player that tends to do the worst on the side of Wildcard, and I say tend because that's just a historical note, is Spiker. But again, that is the one role. It's not okay, but it's understandable if you're not top fragging. Obviously, Spiker has top fragged before. On the side of Shopify Rebellion, Canadian is the one in that same seat. Evidently, Canadian struggles through this stage have been, unfortunately, very pronounced. He didn't have a single kill in the very first play day, if you'd recall, and now is still searching for his first kill as Rexen finds 2 and is immediately traded off by Baby Shark. Ambi also dies to Spiker. This is a rush strat. 4 players dead in 45 seconds, Jesse.
Yeah, you don't see that every day, especially on this, often thought of as the slowest bomb site in Siege, because teams like to clear through the entire top 2 floors. They found a bit of contest up on the top floors. They weren't really expecting to meet these players up above, but they've met them now. I expect this will slow down. They're not rushing straight to the bomb site. They took some battles up at the top floor, up maybe towards the site. Now they're saying for sure, we're gonna clear out this this top floor. We're gonna go down through the freezer hatch if we'd like to. I've seen teams go full top down and then go for a bakery finish. That's a possibility as well. They'll meet Canadian if that's their goal, but more likely we're gonna see them go for that kitchen drop, try to get that defuse kit down in through the freezer. Baby Shark already working his way some Flores drones in through the garage as well. VIP got cleared, so they don't have to worry about that. Love the Flores usage to clear the Goyo canisters. Just don't want to see them waste their time. The clock has been a big enemy of Wildcard in this game so far. They've got plenty of it to use. Sure, go ahead, use that clock, but I don't want to see them pushing once again with like 20 seconds, especially when Canadian's on that echo.
2 top frags in the grave for Shopify Rebellion means things are going to get wild. You've got 1 toxic babe left in pocket for Surf with a minute to go. Gas will still linger in front of Dash, who assesses his options and sees the canister actually bounce off of his shield and prevent him from going from the vault, which is probably the better option. Now he has free reign to walk right through as the coverage from Spiker is above. Surf still punishes Dash. Spotted by Spiker, was maybe a bit delayed 2 seconds earlier, and Dash walks in and is almost able to get that plant down, but we don't want to engage in revisionist history here. Baby Shark and Spiker waiting for somebody on the side of SR to make a move, and they will not. I look like Spoit backing away. Yokai drone from Canadian being piloted. Sees Spiker, and he'll wait out the time, knock him out of his position. A curve has just been thrown, a curveball now thrown at Wildcard as they continue to fire away. Baby Shark desperately searching for Canadian, also wanting Spoit to appear from his position. He thought he had it. Spiker now all by himself, and Spoit will pick up 2 big kills. At info called by the team captain sitting just next to him. And how about a tie game through the first half?
Another situation where the clock gets to Wildcard. I said I didn't want to see them pushing at 20 seconds, and 20 seconds, there they go. They start planting for the first time. Yokai really did have a big impact from Canadian. I thought Spoit hit some nice shots in the 2v2. I was a little confused by the shield play of Dash, if I'm being honest. He runs in all alone in that 3v3, ends up just dying to the smoke player. Didn't seem to have much help. He did have Spiker up above, who did get the trade, but I mean, that was not a guaranteed trade by any means. If Dash doesn't die there, you have to wonder maybe what happens differently in that round. Shopify, they're in a really good spot now after being able to tie that up 3-3. Get a quick look at their player cards, too, in that brief moment there, where they're all rocking one of the new player cards that got added, which is actually the one that your call was on, Parker.
That is correct. Yeah, Shopify Rebellion are not a part of the pilot program or the R6 share program. They are not a partnered team, so they do not have the advantage that some teams do when it comes to skinnergizing. Shopify Rebellion, because I assume because of my connection to Troy. Troy is a very good personal friend of mine. They decided that they would use the, what are you doing there esports skin, which comes with a background and a drone, both of which immortalize one of my quotes that actually happened on this exact map between Team 1 and Na'Vi inside of Dining, if memory serves correctly. It was, I will say, admittedly, a bit of an obscure quote. When they first sent it to me, I was a little shocked, and I was like, I don't remember saying that. But I'm glad that it was memorable enough and is now a point of pride. It is cool to see. So thank you to the Shopify Rebellion roster. That's pretty neat. I'm sure you'll get one day, Jesse.
Yeah, maybe after I cast for 9 years or however long you've been casting this game, perhaps.
Who's more overdue? You to get some kind of commemorative event in game, or the Oilers to win the cup?
All right. We've got another round where Wildcard will swap out of the defense, and they've also banned out that castle, but they've paired it with a Valkyrie, which was an operator they themselves abused, Shopify abused quite a bit on that defensive side. Leaves Zowie up and Mira, often thought of as two of the strongest operators on this map. Mira will be brought by Kansan this round, Zowie not yet, but I'm sure it'll come in the next couple of rounds. So keeping us on our toes when it comes to the operator bans on Shopify Rebellion. They like to be a little bit more unique with those bans, maybe a little bit more targeted as well. Will it be enough to tilt the game back in their favor, though? I'm not so sure of it. There's some powerful ops still up.
That's a great question. Very intrigued to see the very first round right now, and then what happens next. Because if Shopify Rebellion come out banging on all cylinders, then maybe we just have an attacker-sided cafe. Not the case, at least for the very first kill. Spoit goes down with track stingers in hand. Dash will follow. That's two non-typically North American players killed first, as both of these teams do have some imports brought on over to provide more depth. Spiker drops on the side of Wildcard, and the advantage now for SR with just a little bit over a minute to go. What a shot that was by Rexon over towards Lumber, and Canadian is on the board. Out go the donuts, in comes the breadsticks, and it's Kansan on white stairs as the last man standing for Wildcard. Plenty of time for him to toil and tussle. Wildcard, I think it's safe to say, have been in the driver's seat for the majority, if not outright all of this map. But with that, Shopify Rebellion will take the lead for the first time all game.
Big comeback coming out from them, obviously. They've been running this one back. That top floor clear looked really good. I was a bit concerned by the entry. Ambient Spoit try to go in together. There's some miscoordination. Spoit gets flashed and then killed himself as the opening death, but the answers came very quickly with Rexon finding Dash, and then, of course, another pick on a Spiker right afterwards. So it did feel like the response was strong from Shopify. Even if the entry didn't go exactly to plan, they were able to answer and get those good trades once they had full top floor. There's not a lot that Kansan can do in that spot. Kansas found himself last alive on this team a good bit for Wildcard throughout the stage. He seems to often be in that situation where he's holding down the fort both on offense and on defense. And so when his teammates go down around him, he can kind of get put into these clutch situations. And if there's anybody who can clutch, famously, it's probably Kansan, but hasn't had the most amount of success with it so far in stage one. Something to look forward to, though. Obviously likes that positioning for his anchor role, and we're probably going to see a whole lot more of it throughout this stage.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
How the hell did Rexon get to 10 kills, by the way? I feel like I know. I feel like we get fixated on the big and flashy plays, and then sometimes there's just these quiet moments where you pick up 2 kills every round, but they're the middle of the round, and they obviously have a huge impact, but they're not the opening pick, they're not the closing pick.
Yeah.
They get into the dirty spots, they fight dirty, they get gritty, a lot of truculence. J9O is in a very similar position in the Space Station Cloud9 game that preceded this. Now it's Rexon, who is a terrific player, don't get me wrong, but 10 kills is really quite the tally. Spoit trying to make up for lost time. He'll find his 5th, half of what Rexon has, as that's another entry kill for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, and that shot from Spoit's more what we come to expect from a guy like him, right? Just brilliant aim, be able to react to when Bay pops his head out. If he gets some more of that going on the attack, it'll be hard for a Wildcard to answer back on the defense. They do have Baby Shark up on the Clash playing inside a bar at the moment, which can be an extremely powerful operator. Not one we see super commonly on Cafe, but when you've got to deal with the Skylight, when there's players red stairs you want to deal with, it can be a really good choice still. He's playing up top here alongside Kansan and Dash. Dash specifically just next to him inside the bathroom. One of these two players would really like to be able to get something going. Stop this push in through Piano. Don't let them get everything they want for free. But right now, Shopify Rebellion still have a lot of players outside the building. They're working a lot of different angles.
Yeah, they're still using what gadgetry they have as Spoit dies. Canadian is very quick to the punch, and he sees multiple players doing a lot of damage, finds one. Wildcard reduced to just 2, Kansan and Spiker. Kansan has been alive in the final moments of a round an awful lot. He's been playing those safer roles as a defender. And I mean, we know what Kansan can do. We know what he can do on the Roam. We know what he can do with a Nitro Cell. as down goes Surf, who was out on that white window repel. Still to remain for the Rebellion. Canadian finds a double kill. He's getting on the board, and Rexon, who had already broken double digits, will get that exit frag to give the round to Shopify Rebellion. I did say, Jesse, that I'm very interested in these next 2 rounds, and both of them went quite well in favor of Shopify Rebellion. So it does look like this map is just trending towards the attackers. That will prompt Wildcard, who are currently not the attackers, to call a timeout, as presumably they are now in the harder side, and things might only continue to worsen for them.
Looking to talk with their brand new coach, Lagonis, picked up from Brazil, who came over after captaining Team Liquid for a number of years, now playing in that more support role as a coach, be able to talk to the team. That last round, you go back to Shopify Rebellion. One thing this team does so well, and I feel like Canadian has done throughout his career so well, is play these kind of disruptive operators. You look at the support combo of Surf and Canadian, the operators they were running that round were both Capitao and the Grim. 2 ops that really force players to move, either with the Firebolt, who's going to force you to move or else you're going to take a bunch of damage and die, or the Grim is going to force you to move or else you're going to get pinged and also likely succumb to a player shooting you through a wall or something. So these kind of operators being used by Shopify Rebellion are forcing Wildcard to move in positions maybe they don't want to so much. Notice on Wildcard, there's 2 players down below the site. Probably not where they want to be, especially in like a 2v3, a 2vx situation. They want to be more in control of the site, but they get forced out of the position that they're holding thanks to these new util ops being brought by Shopify Rebellion. And they honestly just can't make a big swing from that position. So we'll be looking at Wildcard in the op ban system right after this round, see if they want to remove one of those 2 choices, if they'll go a different direction. They took out the Ying before round number 7, which fills a similar sort of role. You got to move, you got to get out of dodge, or else you're going to be full blind and likely receiving the bad side of a gun.
10 seconds to go.
Some change-ups from Wildcard to slow things down. I like what they're bringing to the table. Dash has been held off the score sheet for quite a while at this point. He made quite the splash in Rio, his home country, playing on that Reload team for Wildcard that made a deep run. Final 4 at the Reload event. But I mean, there were some abnormal results, so you can't read into it too much. I mean, for crying out loud, CAG made the grand finals.
What's that supposed to mean?
What do you mean, what's that supposed to mean? There's nobody on the planet heading into Reload that's like, you know what, I think CAG's going to make it to the top 8, let alone the top 2. So we do see teams have these incredible runs, and then they struggle to repeat it. A team like CAG obviously is a fan favorite, but when you look at the actual circuit matches, this is a team that is a perennial 10th place finisher at absolute best. So, I mean, it's hard to look at the results of Reload and then try to extrapolate them to the league. So, I mean, Wildcard obviously succeeded an awful lot, but the event might have just been a one-off for them, and now we see them regressing to the mean, which is a middle-of-the-pack, at most, North American squad. Which, by the way, is not a bad thing. That still qualifies you for the playoffs. So you still have a fighting chance, but there will need to be some changes from Wildcard's play as defenders, as they are going to be running uphill for the next minute and 40 and all future rounds until overtime, if needed, comes about.
Util was cleared quite quickly. There is still Spiker with Toxic Babes to stop any sort of fast push, but that is an option if Shopify choose to get down into reading quickly. That's a play coming out from the Warden.
Ooh.
Actually wins it. Babe 1v1's Canadian on the Blackbeard, and then Dash in sight. Another big pick.
Ambi, the only one on the board right now, looking for Baby Shark 2, and he outduels him. Rexon by his side, 21 kills between the 2 remaining players on the side of Shopify Rebellion. Those are inarguably the 2 that you want to have in these dying moments of a round. They have their work cut out for them. Dash had broken that freeze that he was on, finding kill number 3. As the boogie drone goes and gives insight down below, Rexon was hoping for something a little bit more. Can't find it. He and Ambi now taking some serious damage from these engagements upstairs. 40 seconds for them to either find these last 3 kills or to grab the diffuser and pull that off. It's quite the heady task. Wildcard can just sit right now, as they don't need to move a muscle. Diffuser is not in their clutches, so at least that's a benefit for the Rebellion.
They don't seem to know on Wildcard where this push is coming from either. Spiker is smoking white stairs, so this might be news to them.
The drop will come in. There's a cam in place. is that a Zoto canister slowing them down as Rexon will now play over towards the banister, finding one. Diffuser going down. He tries to relocate. They run out of time as Ambi was unable to get the diffuser down and fell off, fearing the worst from Wildcard. One round separating these two teams, and Wildcard will find their first win as defenders.
Cool play with a two-brow coming out from Dash in that round. He had two in his pocket when we were down to the 2v3 situation. He used his first one down below to get some footprints of some of the players on Shopify, saw that they were in around back bar, got some information for them there. They'll respect it even with the two-brow band coming out into round number 10. And then his second one, using it as they entered into reading through the pillar door. I will say, I think the second two-brow canister actually disabled the camera. I'm not 100% sure if that was what they were hoping to do, but regardless, I mean, they were able to slow those players down, get the last couple of kills. Shopify had to sprint all the way through, very panicked in that last couple of seconds, and so nice to see Wildcard close that one out. I also was theorizing about what we might see Wildcard ban on their third attacker, and it will be the Grim. So again, one of those displacement operators that Shopify Rebellion have been using so well on their side. They'll keep the Capitao, that is still going to be available for them, but that lack of Grim is going to really hurt, and I think it's a great ban from Wildcard.
It's been an unpredictable set of matches that we have seen so far today. While there is a brief reprieve between the action, we can talk about what comes next. Dark Zero versus M80 both started the day tied for first. Unchallenged and unequivocally the two best teams in the region based on the standings. They have competition now, and they have been knocked off of their pedestal only because of the results from other games. That will be one hell of a match between two juggernauts to determine which one is the best. I could foresee our first overtime occurring in that match. Hold on a second here. If Shopify Rebellion don't bottle this one. We end the day with the Battle of the Bottom. Team Cruelty and Orgless, both currently pointless. No wins, not even in overtime. Just both of them having 2 losses in regulation. They will do battle to see which team ends up on the very bottom of the standings at the end of the day. Yeah, it's been quite the day for matches so far. We expected close contests, and we have received them, needing almost all rounds of regulation played up to this point through all 3 matches.
Baby Shark failing to shoot the Selma off that wall. It was in smoke, so it's not the easiest thing in the world, but you're facing no contest if you're Baby Shark. Maybe just not realizing exactly what was going on. They did clear out one of it, so they still at least keep it as a small angle, but it makes Bay's position really tough.
Oh my, he managed to get out of his position. Not unharmed. Bay on the board first. Down goes Rexon. 13 kills for Rexon, continuing to amass that tally, but will have no impact for the remaining 90 seconds here in round number 10. Surf with the Devil's scoreline. Very rare that we see that, mostly because very few people end up with 6 assists. That is a hell of a tally, if I may use the pun. Ambi from above sledges out a window onto the floor, kills Bay, and then immediately goes back to droning. He knows the job that needs to be done, and with that, Ambi will join the double-digit club as well. It's just him and his teammate of Rexon currently at that point. One more kill for Kansan, and he, too, will join it. Dash spotted from above as Ambi is just lobbing bombs right now at this Wildcard team from above. Down goes Dash. The Shopify Rebellion have gone back to what we saw from these first 2 rounds of their second half.
Baby Shark knows he's got to make something happen. That's why he's starting to aggress towards Small Bake. If he makes this push, likely won't be caught. There's nobody really watching at the side of Shopify. Never mind, there's Surf on the window. Makes a lot more sense. If he pushes too deep, that will be spotted. He's got to win that fight on the Surf.
Spiker almost went for more. He finds one, but that's it. And they know how close they were in that particular round. Spiker's bit of heroics, unfortunately, just not enough. And that is A-okay. I mean, Wildcard still putting in a great fight here, but it's match point for Shopify Rebellion. Again, verticality is so important on this map. If you have a sledge, a buck, a ram, anybody with heaps of soft destruction taking up residency on that middle floor over top of your bomb site, you are in deep, deep trouble. You need to try to fight it off with a nitro cell, which was in pocket for Spiker, but was not used to great success. He managed to take Ambi out of that position with the gun. Or maybe you put somebody up there to deal with it on a lurk or a late flank. When Wildcard lost 2 players early on from that position, they just didn't have the bodies to throw at that second floor, and they had to try to bail themselves out of the situation as best as they could in the moment. Obviously, as we saw, they struggled. Great play by Ambi, because not only is Ambi getting these kills, Jesse, but he's also gaining information that he's passing on to the remainder of the team, who then can use it to excel and close out the round.
Ambi leading the server right now with 11 frags. Those last couple in the last round with the vert play, super impactful. He also leads the North America League in kills. He had 31 in the first week of play, which was more than any other player in our league. Early lion charge from Surf, maybe to stop some kind of a spawn peek, although none were coming out. Bit of an odd position one. I guess Baby Sharks and Piano could have been going for something. Regardless, we do see a lot of big plays coming out from Ambi. I would say this is his best start to a stage he's ever had, which is saying something because he's been a great player ever since coming into the league about a year ago now. Nice to see him having some good performances. Shopify Rebellion 1 round away, just a single attack on Cafe from closing this one out. But again, there's a lot of strong defenders still up. This round, you're going to see that Zowie from Baby Shark. You're going to see that Mirror from Dash. Makes clearing that top floor an absolute nightmare with all those angles to go up against. And they really want that top floor control because, once again, Ambi is on this vertical operator playing on the Ram. If they don't get that top control, he's not going to really be able to do much with his gadget.
He's hoping for somebody to do battle with that hatch opened up. I mean, very rarely do we see somebody sitting underneath it, but I mean, if you're Spoit, I guess you gotta go fishing on that. A flash down from the main hatch is now Dash stairs up. Kansan on the board first. He has now joined the double-digit club, the 3rd member in the lobby to do just that. It's a huge pick onto Surf, who no longer the devil's number, but now is 777. How on earth do you end up with that? It's a point of fascination for us, but still, good for him. No lion scans to be had, so the annoyances that will come out will be solely from the death mark in the pocket of Spoit.
Baby Shark taking a lot of pressure, not as free as he thought he was. Spoit was holding the angle, and he does get punished throwing the Kiba, so that's one of those power operators taken off the board. And these mirror windows, they're not going to do you much good if all your top floor players have to retreat, which is exactly what's happening. They all fall back as there's not a single player still remaining up above. A minute 5, you've just given the top floor to Shopify Rebellion. They've got a Ram up there. They've got a Deimos up there. They're going to hit your site with Canadian on the Blackbeard. I mean, they're in a very good spot to close out this game. Wouldn't mind seeing some aggression come from Wildcard. Somebody's got to push up a staircase, get into a rat spot, find some way to work a pick, because right now I think a 4v4 execute just favors the Rebellion.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. Especially just right now in terms of drawn out gunplay. I like what I'm seeing from the Rebellion at this current point in time, but you never really know. When it comes to a brawl with just a few seconds left, sometimes the better team wins and sometimes they don't. Now as they take complete control from above and pick away at the layer right underneath, Shopify Rebellion need to be more conscious of the time. That is the bigger issue here. A swing over towards the window as Spiker now squares up into a spot. Shot away at from Ambi, whose residency seems to be above the bomb site. Time running out. Diffuser needs to be walked in by Canadian, who will die at the hands of Dash, and that should be the round. Ambi tries as best as he could, but Father Time is undefeated, and this time the round goes to Wildcard. Oh boy. Is another comeback brewing against Shopify Rebellion, Jesse?
They've already tasted overtime on this map once. They don't want to have to taste it again. That last round, they had loads of time on the clock to work with. I mentioned it, over 60 seconds with full top floor control, that they wanted to use all their util. Ambi had a lot of those boogie drones that he was trying to open the floorboards with. They didn't find anything with it. Despite how good Ambi has been historically and even earlier in this game in getting those vertical picks, they weren't really able to work any of those frags from up above to open up that push. So by the time they eventually got going, you know, they got their first pick. It was vertical, but they got their first pick at like 10 seconds going in from the 4v4. It just wasn't enough time to convert into an actual execute. Tough break from Canadian on that Blackbeard as well, trying to make the close range push happen, but just doesn't know the position of the close wildcard player that gets tucked in, and he loses his life that way. Oh, starting to get a little shaky for sure, Parker. This is another one of those games. Feels very similar to our first of the day, where despite one team maybe coming out with a bit of a lead, maybe being the heavy favorites,
Seconds left.
this game could just be slipping away from them.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for these teams that Canadian captains, as, you know, there's a lot of talk back in the EG days. Let's go all the way back to Evil Geniuses
boy.
and talk about the choke potential that would come in with Canadian and that team not being able to close out their matches. The most obvious one and the most infamous would be that SI 2018 Grand Finals, where they were up 2-0 and then suffered a reverse sweep at the hands of Penta. But since then, every single one of these teams have battled issues with momentum and mental resets. Space Station went through those same problems when he was on the team. Dark Zero, too, had issues with it. Shopify Rebellion is a newer organization / newer team on that old Sonics roster, so it's going to have a new identity, but they're not immune to the same issues that all the other teams might suffer through. Could be getting ahead of ourselves, writing the regulation obituary of Shopify Rebellion a little bit too early, as there's still 2 minutes to go and everybody is still alive in the lobby. But it's still a point worth talking about.
Spiker down below. There's nobody here in the building, but there is a player just outside of Pillar if he wants to go for the push outside. Also might be able to find somebody here on the white window, but there's nobody currently. Liked what Kansan was doing with those yokais, was finding really good information. Seems like Shopify have read into that a little bit with Surf hunting for the yokai drone, but managing to keep them both safe at the moment. Kansan's got both of them alive, and he's running them around the map still. One down inside of Laundry, going to be able to find once again the Nomad and again spot on the drone, but the yokai stays safe. They're spending a lot of time trying to find these yokais, but they just can't do it.
Baby Shark is down for the count. A rough game for him so far today. And if overtime does not happen, that will be all we see of him for the remaining minute plus of this matchup. Rexon accumulating kills. He'll find his second, and that'll be all she wrote for him as Bay takes him down, and Wildcard will trail by 1 number, but they've managed to take out the big raid boss, but there's usually backup. One of them is Ambi, but in this case, it's Spoit. He's looking for double digits as well. Now the 2 remaining players from Wildcard, backs against the wall, will try to hang on for the next 45 seconds.
They know positions too, at least approximately. Kansan here inside a bathroom. He's pushed up. He'll get caught on that Twitch drone now, going for a swing, but doesn't matter. Spoit's got his number, and Spiker's in a 1v4 for the game.
Flashed out of his mind, seeing white as Spoit breaks double digits, and now the 4 remaining players will all compete for the final kill. Surf finds it. Spiker can't surf, and Shopify Rebellion will survive a scare as they take it in regulation.
Give him the fist bump, please. Thank you very much. Big game from Shopify. That 3 points almost eluding them, but they do manage to get it done in regulation, which is the key for them. Not being able to win in regulation is the only reason they weren't in first coming into this week, but with that big win, they will be able to cement themselves still towards the top of that standings. Yet to lose a game, Parker, but they've looked very, they've come very, very close in the last couple of matches.
But Shopify did win, and we have Spoit for the interview. Starting off, congratulations, by the way, on another win under your belt. How's it been for you back in America? Different team. What's it been like?
You know, I mean, this is my, what is it, 4th time I'm here in Toronto. I've been here before with M80 as well, you know, the same boot camp that me and Troy's using right now. But, you know, it's been good. We've been practicing a lot, even though, I mean, I think we play good. I mean, we've been practicing for like a month-ish leading up to the stage. So, you know, we're still getting used to everything. I'm getting used to the new system. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you guys did play good. We heard it in the endgame comms. Canadian was saying, you know, the reason why things are getting so close is because you guys just aren't talking to each other. And I guess from your perspective, being the player that joined onto the team, would you say that Shopify Rebellion is comfortable in the position that they are now? Obviously, there's more to go. It's only been a month, but would you say you're happy with your guys' performance so far?
Yeah, so far, so happy. I mean, we had some tight games. I feel like we should have won them, you know, better. Like the game against, I forgot who it was. It was 8-6 win on Cafe last week. I feel like we could have closed out that game for the 3 points. But, you know, I'm happy so far. just trying to, you know, get comfortable with the team. So just gonna keep going.
Yeah, talking about being comfortable with the team, I want to ask you, you know, you've always been a player that's been talked about for your highlight moments, your insane gun skill, insane mechanics, you know, going from Koi, Rogue, then to M80, now onto this roster. And when I look at all the rosters in comparison, and we were just talking about prior on the desk, you have 4 players that you surround yourself with that are all uniquely talented in their own right and can pop up at any given moment. Do you kind of feel like a lot of pressure is off your shoulders to kind of have those highlight moments that you typically have had throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, all these guys on my team are like crazy. I mean, you have the greatest IGL in the world, you know, Canadian with the longevity he's had and the stability within his teams. Then you have, you know, Rex and Ambi, Surf, all those guys are just like out of their mind. I think Ambi's like, I don't know, he might probably be the best fragger in NA right now.
That's
He's
a lot coming
crazy.
from you. I mean, as someone that's like highly noted as, you know, mechanics and gun skill.
Yeah, I mean, Ambi's our primary entry. Me and Richie, we play more of a, we still play entry, but it's more like on the flex side of things.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, well, it seems like everything's been working out for you guys. I mean, maybe some games you wanted to close it out sooner, but I do think it's really important that you're aware of that and that it's something that you're working forward to. So thank you so much as well for the time for the interview. We're gonna let you go, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good evening, guys.
Thanks, you too.